So your work that has involved music as well as script, as in things like Blood Brothers, do you begin with the music or do you begin with the story?
No, always begin with the story, even though in the case of Blood Brothers, the story begins with music. It is telling the story. I mean, the first thing that happens in Blood Brothers is the mother, Mrs. Johnson, comes on and she sings a 24-line song that sketches in the last 28 years. You know, it's just a very economical way of giving the audience all the information it needs to know about this woman before the story then moves forward. So in the case of that, it began physically on stage with a song, yet it was still story that I was pursuing. You know, I knew the story of Blood Brothers before I sat down to write it. That's not always the case. It wasn't the case with Ed Sheeran Rita, it wasn't the case with Shirley Valentine, but with Blood Brothers it was. I had the story in advance. But for any musical, you know, it's a truism. I mean, you know, the probably the greatest musical writer of last century and this, Stephen Sondheim, has said, you know, the musical is made by three things: the book, the book, the book. And by book, of course, he means the story. You can have the greatest music in the world, but if the story is not right in a musical, the musical will not work. And someone as great as Sondheim knows that. Arthur Lawrence, who wrote the book for West Side Story, would say to his collaborators, Sondheim and Bernstein, sing the book, you know. Try to get rid of as much of the book as possible by turning the book into music. But that doesn't mean that the book evaporates. It doesn't mean that music can take the place of the book. It means that the songs are taking what is written by the librettist and turning that into action. But the action is still being set down as the body of the story. And if you don't have that, music can't go to work. And
is that why you think Blood Brothers has lasted so long?
Oh, I haven't got a clue why Blood Brothers has lasted so long. I just knew, I wish I'd known it would last so long, because I would have tried a bit harder at the time and got rid of some of the things that still make me blush, you know. Oh.
You're tempted to rewrite any of it?
No, you can't. I mean, I do rewrite massively, and I rewrote, you know. I think the last significant rewriting I did on Blood Brothers was when we were in Toronto just before we moved down to open in New York. You know, a play gets to play a musical, even though I'm a big rewriter. Again, a truism: no play is written; it's rewritten. You know, you have once you've written it, you've got it on a stage. You've then got the wonderful benefit of seeing it, because before it gets onto a stage, a play, a script, is a mere ambition. It might be a very good ambition, but it's an intention for something to happen. It might be a very good intention, but it won't happen until it's inhabited by the players. And it still won't happen until those players have given it to the third party, which is that audience out there. And then theatre happens. And it's only when theatre happens that you as a writer can start to see some of the things that no amount of looking at the script or being in a rehearsal room with the actors or running it in a dress rehearsal will reveal. Sometimes you have to have an audience there. And that's a point at which I really heavily go to work.